I think I'm going to like you. That's not important. I think the public will like you. That is important.
Maureen O'Hara famously told a newspaper in 1945 that Hollywood had become so unbearable, she was ready to walk away for good. She wasn't alone. The dark reality was that nearly every actress had to endure exploitation, whether to land roles or simply survive in the business. It was a world where no one was truly spared, and some were so broken by the experience that they left Hollywood entirely. Others, with no way out, were forced to endure the abuse in silence. Today, we uncover Hollywood's ugliest casting couch scandals, the stories they don't want you to know. Kora Sue Collins. Kora Sue Collins began acting at the tender age of 3, starring in films like Queen Christina, alongside Greta Garbo and Anna Karenina. Her work in over 30 films by the time she was a teenager highlighted her extraordinary talent. However, Collins's early exposure to Hollywood's glamorous yet toxic environment left an indelible mark on her. In an interview, Collins recalled working grueling hours as a child, often in costumes so elaborate they restricted her movements. Despite her young age, she formed a deep friendship with Greta Garbo, who offered her guidance and protected her on set. "Greta was kind to me, almost motherly," she shared. At 16, Collins faced a shocking encounter with MGM writer Harry Ruskin. He propositioned her during what was supposed to be a routine casting meeting, implying that her compliance could secure her the role. Shaken, she refused and reported the incident to MGM co-founder Louis B. Mayer. To her dismay, Mayer brushed it off, advising her to accept it as normal if she wanted a career in Hollywood. This moment profoundly disillusioned Collins. Her mother, a constant presence during her career, doubted her story, further isolating the young actress. Feeling unsupported, Collins chose to leave the industry altogether. In later interviews, she reflected on how Hollywood's predatory culture robbed her of a fulfilling career. She noted that many young actresses face similar experiences, but remained silent out of fear. Despite leaving Hollywood, Collins maintained a dignified life, frequently sharing her experiences to shed light on the systemic exploitation of young talent. Her story remains a poignant reminder of the darker realities behind Hollywood's glittering facade. Tippy Hedren. One of Alfred Hitchcock's most famous leading ladies, Tippy Hedren actually had a dirty secret with him. She shocked the world in 2016 when she finally spoke out about the abuse she endured by the legendary director. She had stayed silent for over 50 years but decided it was time to share her truth. In her memoir, Hedren revealed that Hitchcock assaulted her multiple times while they were working together. The first incident happened during the filming of The Birds in 1963. She described how Hitchcock threw himself on top of her in the back of a limo and tried to kiss her. She was horrified and managed to push him away, but the experience haunted her. It didn't end there. While filming Marnie in 1964, Hitchcock cornered her again, this time in her dressing room. She said he became more aggressive when she tried to fight him off, and even threatened to ruin her career if she told anyone or resisted. Despite this, she stood her ground, but the consequences were clear. Afterward, Hitchcock refused to speak to her, even though they still had to work together to finish the film. Reflecting on her experiences, Hedren shared how this wasn't just about Hitchcock. "This is nothing new," she said in an October tweet after the Weinstein scandal broke. "It's not just the entertainment industry. I dealt with sexual harassment all the time during my modeling and film career. Hitchcock wasn't the first." Marilyn Monroe. Maybe the most iconic actress in the 60s, Marilyn Monroe was approached way more than many other actresses. Every studio mogul and actor had an evil eye on her. She even said that during her interview. This is why she called Hollywood a big brothel. Monroe's rise to fame was deeply intertwined with the casting couch culture and the predatory behavior of the powerful men who controlled Hollywood. Monroe's early career began with small modeling jobs and a few minor film roles. To gain traction in the competitive industry, she posed for a now-famous nude calendar in 1949. Monroe later revealed that she had agreed to the shoot out of financial desperation, as she was barely making enough to survive. While the calendar eventually boosted her fame, it also marked the beginning of her being objectified by the media and the industry. Monroe frequently spoke about the
Hollywood.
wolves of
Happy time for you,
Hollywood,
or
a term she
Yes,
used to
it is a very
describe the
happy time.
powerful
I'm
men
happy to be
who
back.
demanded sexual favors in exchange for career opportunities. She was reportedly coerced into uncomfortable situations during auditions and meetings. In a candid interview, Monroe remarked, "I was told to grin and bear it. That was the expectation if you wanted to succeed." Her personal life was equally tumultuous. Monroe's relationships with influential figures, including studio executives and politicians like President John F. Kennedy, was often sensationalized. She later confided that she felt trapped in these relationships as they reinforced her image as a sexual object rather than a serious actress. Monroe fought hard to gain respect in the
I'm going to eat
industry.
any more chocolate.
She sought out more challenging roles and eventually
You'll
formed her own
spread.
production
So
company,
spread.
Marilyn Monroe Productions, to take control of her career. Despite her efforts, the pressures of fame and constant exploitation took a toll on her mental health. Monroe died in 1962 at the age of 36 under mysterious circumstances. Her tragic death remains a symbol of Hollywood's darker side. Clara Bo, known as the It Girl, Clara Bo embodied the glamour and allure of the Roaring Twenties. Her magnetic screen presence made her one of the silent film era's biggest stars, but behind success lay a life filled with exploitation and heartache. Bo's career was shaped by a male-dominated industry that saw her as a commodity rather than a person. Bo's manager, B.P. Schulberg, controlled every aspect of her career and personal life. She was pushed into relentless schedules, often working 12-hour days with little regard for her well-being. Schulberg also managed her finances, and there were accusations that he exploited her earnings for personal gain. Bo later confided in friends that she felt powerless to confront him, as doing so could mean the end of her career. One of Bo's most traumatic experiences came from her secretary, Daisy DeVoe. DeVoe stole Bo's private correspondence and shared it with the tabloids, exposing intimate details of her life. The ensuing court case in 1931 painted Bo as a wild and irresponsible figure, a narrative fueled by jealous studio heads eager to tarnish her image. Bo described the trial as public humiliation that left her deeply scarred. Rumors and fabricated scandals added to Bo's mental health struggles. She was accused of promiscuity, drinking excessively, and being difficult on set. All claims designed to diminish her standing in the industry. Bo withdrew from Hollywood in the early 1930s, citing exhaustion and disillusionment. In later interviews, Bo reflected on the exploitation she endured, stating, "They used me until there was nothing left." She retired to a quieter life, but her story remains a testament to the brutal pressures of early Hollywood. Joan Crawford. She was a shining star of the 1920s and 1930s. She rose to fame through sheer determination and relentless work ethic. However, her success came at a steep price, as Crawford endured the casting couch culture and the relentless control of Hollywood's male executives. Crawford's early career was shaped by her relationship with MGM head Louis B. Mayer, who was known for manipulating young actresses. Crawford reportedly faced constant scrutiny from Mayer, who controlled her roles, appearance, and even her relationships. She later described how Mayer's influence extended beyond the studio, making it nearly impossible to assert independence. One of the most harrowing aspects of Crawford's career was her early encounters with the casting couch. In later interviews, she hinted that she had faced numerous propositions from powerful men in exchange for roles. "You had to make choices," she said. "Sometimes it was about survival." Crawford's personal life also reflected the pressures she faced. Her marriages to influential men like Douglas Fairbanks Jr. and Franchot Tone were often scrutinized, with rumors suggesting they were partly strategic. Despite these challenges, Crawford persevered, delivering iconic performances in films like Mildred Pierce, for which she won an Academy Award. In her later years, Crawford reflected on her journey, acknowledging the toll that exploitation and control had taken on her. "I fought for every inch of respect," she said. Her story is a powerful reminder of the resilience required to navigate Hollywood's predatory culture while achieving lasting success. Kim Novak. She became one of the most recognizable faces of the 1950s, especially after her unforgettable performance in Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo, 1958. However, her career was shaped by intense exploitation and control, particularly by Columbia Pictures studio head Harry Cohn. Novak's personal accounts later revealed a deeply isolating and manipulative environment. Cohn, known for his authoritarian management style, took a keen interest in Novak, reportedly grooming her to replace Rita Hayworth as Columbia's leading star. He demanded complete control over her career, dictating everything from her roles to her personal life. Cohn pressured Novak to adopt a more glamorous image, enforcing a strict diet, wardrobe, and appearance regimen. Novak later revealed that Cohn even tried to control her dating life. He allegedly threatened to blacklist her if she did not date powerful men in the industry, which he claimed would boost her career. One incident Novak recounted involved Cohn pressuring her to attend a party with a wealthy businessman. When she refused, Cohn retaliated by threatening to shelve her films and damage her reputation. Novak described feeling trapped, saying, "It was like being in a prison where you had no say over your life." Despite the pressure, Novak stood her ground on several occasions. She refused to conform entirely to the studio's demands, particularly when it came to personal relationships. Her rumored romance with Sammy Davis Jr. drew widespread criticism, as interracial relationships were taboo in Hollywood at the time. Novak's defiance reportedly infuriated Cohn, who attempted to sabotage her career by spreading damaging rumors. After Cohn's death in 1958, Novak gradually withdrew from Hollywood, citing exhaustion from years of control and manipulation. She later reflected on her career, stating, "I was never allowed to be myself. They took Kim Novak and made her into someone I didn't recognize." Shirley Temple. Shirley Temple was one of the most beloved child stars in the 1930s. She charmed audiences with her cheerful demeanor and iconic curls. However, Temple's innocent public image masked the darker reality she faced in Hollywood. In her memoir, A Child Star, Temple recounted shocking incidents that highlighted the predatory nature
in the finest part of
Temple began acting at the age of 3 and quickly became a box office sensation. By the time she was 6, she was the most profitable star in Hollywood, often earning more than her adult co-stars. Despite her success, Temple endured exploitation and harassment. One of the most disturbing incidents occurred when she was 12 years old. Temple recalled an MGM producer exposing himself to her during a meeting. Naive and unaware of the gravity of the situation, Temple giggled, thinking it was a joke. The producer became enraged, shouting at her for not taking him seriously. The pressure to maintain her image was relentless. Temple was often put through grueling schedules, performing in multiple films a year while adhering to strict rules about her appearance and behavior. Studio executives controlled every aspect of her life, and her family was often complicit in enforcing these demands. Despite these experiences, Temple managed to transition into a successful adult career, later serving as a diplomat for the United States. She credited her resilience to her ability to compartmentalize the trauma she faced as a child. "The Hollywood I grew up in was not the glamorous place people think it was," Temple wrote in her memoir. "It was a factory, and I was just another product." Temple's story sheds light on how even the youngest stars were not spared from Hollywood's darker side, making her later achievements all the more remarkable. Joan Collins. The glamorous British actress who became a Hollywood staple in the 1950s, Joan Collins was no stranger to the casting couch culture. Known for her beauty and sharp wit, Collins fought against the systemic exploitation that permeated the industry, becoming a vocal advocate for change later in her career. Collins revealed in her memoir that she was offered the role of Cleopatra in 1963, a career-defining opportunity. However, the role came with a disturbing condition: sexual favors for the producer. When Collins refused, the part was given to Elizabeth Taylor instead. This experience left Collins disillusioned, and she described it as a turning point in her understanding of Hollywood's power dynamics. Throughout her career, Collins faced similar encounters. In one instance, a studio executive invited her to dinner under the pretense of discussing a role. Upon arriving, she discovered she was the only guest and quickly realized his true intentions. Collins declined his advances and left, but the incident underscored how pervasive such behavior was. "It was always there, lurking in the background," she later said. Despite these challenges, Collins remained steadfast in her refusal to compromise her values. She continued to land roles in films and television, becoming a household name with her portrayal of Alexis Carrington
Is that
in
what it means
Dynasty during the
when I care about a man
1980s.
who means so much to
Collins's
me?
resilience and candidness about her experiences helped pave the way for future generations of actresses. In later interviews, Collins spoke out against Hollywood's toxic culture, encouraging women to stand up for themselves. "We must never let them think we're powerless," she said. Her career, spanning more than 6 decades, is a testament to her determination to succeed on her own terms. Judy Garland. One of Hollywood's most beloved performers, Judy Garland captivated audiences with her immense talent and vulnerability. Behind the scenes, however, Garland endured relentless exploitation that began during her childhood and continued throughout her career. Starting at MGM as a teenager, Garland quickly became one of the studio's biggest stars. However, studio executives, including Louis B. Mayer, subjected her to unimaginable pressures. Mayer frequently commented on her appearance, calling her fat and ugly, and insisted she adhere to a strict diet. Garland was forced to take amphetamines to stay thin and energetic for long workdays, a practice that led to a lifelong battle with addiction. Garland also faced harassment. In one chilling account, she described how Mayer would touch her inappropriately under the guise of fatherly affection. When she voiced her discomfort, her concerns were dismissed. The emotional toll of these experiences left Garland feeling isolated and powerless. The studio also controlled every aspect of her life, from her contracts to her personal relationships. She was often paired with male co-stars in publicity stunts designed to promote her films, even if the relationships were fabricated. Garland once remarked, "They owned me. I couldn't even breathe without their permission." Her struggles culminated in a series of public breakdowns and professional setbacks in her later years. Despite this, Garland delivered some of her most iconic performances, including her role in The Wizard of Oz and her comeback concert at Carnegie Hall in 1961. Tragically, she passed away in 1969 at the age of 47 from an accidental overdose. Garland's story is a poignant reminder of how the pressures of fame and exploitation can take a devastating toll, even on the brightest stars. Bette Davis. Celebrated as one of the greatest actresses in film history, Bette Davis was also a trailblazer who challenged the exploitation and control imposed by the Hollywood studio system. Davis's fierce determination and talent set her apart, but her career was not without its struggles with the darker realities of the industry. In the 1930s, Davis signed with Warner Brothers, where studio head Jack Warner wielded enormous power. Warner was notorious for micromanaging his stars, dictating their roles and personal lives. Davis later recounted how she was frequently pressured into roles she didn't want, and when she resisted, she was labeled difficult. One pivotal moment in Davis's career came in 1937 when she sued Warner Brothers to gain creative freedom. The lawsuit stemmed from her frustration with being cast in mediocre films designed to capitalize on her fame rather than showcase her talent. Although she lost the case, the lawsuit was a landmark event, paving the way for other actors to challenge the exploitative practices of the studio system. Davis also experienced harassment during her career. In interviews, she mentioned being propositioned by powerful producers who implied that her cooperation would lead to better opportunities. Davis's refusal to play along often led to professional retaliation, but she remained steadfast in her principles. "I was not about to let them define me," she once said. Despite these challenges, Davis's career thrived. She earned 2 Academy Awards and numerous accolades for her performances in films like Jezebel and All About Eve. Her resilience and willingness to speak out against Hollywood's toxic culture made her a role model for future generations of actresses. Marlene Dietrich. She was the glamorous German-American actress. She arrived in Hollywood in the 1930s and quickly became a sensation. However, her rise to fame was not without its challenges. Dietrich reportedly faced advances from directors and producers who sought to exploit her beauty. Her relationship with Josef von Sternberg, the director who brought her to Hollywood, was a complex mix of professional admiration and personal control. Sternberg reportedly dictated everything about her appearance and performances, treating her more like a muse than an equal collaborator. Dietrich later recalled an incident where a powerful producer demanded private meetings with her during contract negotiations. Knowing the implications, she cleverly avoided these encounters by surrounding herself with allies or feigning illness. She used her wit and charm to navigate these situations, but the constant pressure took its toll. Dietrich's defiance of traditional gender roles and refusal to bow to exploitation made her an icon of strength and independence. Barbara Payton. In the late 1940s, as a young actress, Payton was pushed into compromising situations by agents and producers who promised her fame. She revealed that she was pressured into attending private parties where influential men in the industry sought sexual favors in exchange for roles. Her stunning beauty made her a target, and she often found herself at the mercy of men who viewed her as a disposable commodity. One particularly harrowing incident involved a producer who allegedly threatened to blacklist her if she didn't comply with his demands. Payton's resistance cost her opportunities, and she eventually became trapped in a cycle of exploitation, scandal, and rejection. By the mid-1950s, Payton's career was in ruins, and she struggled with alcoholism and financial instability. Her life ended tragically in 1967, a cautionary tale of Hollywood's exploitative practices. Veronica Lake. She was known for her signature peekaboo hairstyle. She rose to fame in the early 1940s. Her success masked the struggles she endured behind the scenes. Lake's petite stature and youthful appearance made her a favorite of Paramount Pictures, but also a target for manipulation. Studio executives tightly controlled her image, dictating what she wore, how she spoke, and even her personal relationships. Lake recounted being propositioned by a producer early in her career who suggested her cooperation would lead to major roles. Her refusal to comply resulted in fewer opportunities and a strained relationship with the studio. She also faced constant harassment on set, with male colleagues making inappropriate comments or advances. Lake's career eventually faltered in the late 1940s, as her refusal to conform to the industry's expectations alienated her from studio executives. She later said that Hollywood chewed her up and spit her out. Natalie Wood. She began acting at the age of 4, growing up in a system that was rife with exploitation. As a teenager in the 1950s, Wood auditioned for Rebel Without a Cause, a role that would define her career. She later revealed that during the audition process, an older male producer made inappropriate advances, implying that her willingness to cooperate would secure her the part. Wood's mother, who was heavily involved in managing her career, reportedly pressured her to endure these situations to achieve stardom. As an adult, Wood faced continued pressure to maintain her image and comply with the demands of powerful men in the industry. In interviews, she spoke of feeling objectified and treated as a commodity rather than a person. Her tragic death in 1981, surrounded by mystery and speculation, remains a chilling reminder of the pressures she endured throughout her life. Linda Darnell. Her rise to fame began at age 15, when she was cast in adult roles that sexualized her beyond her years. Studio executives at 20th Century Fox quickly molded her into a bombshell image, promoting her beauty over her acting talents. Darnell later revealed that she felt like a pawn in a system that treated young actresses as disposable. One of her most harrowing experiences occurred during the production of Forever Amber, 1947. A producer attempted to coerce her into a compromising situation, insinuating that her refusal would result in career setbacks. Darnell's refusal led to delays in the film's release and subsequent rumors about her being difficult to work with. The pressure to maintain her image was relentless. Darnell spoke about being put on strict diets and enduring grueling beauty regimens to fit Hollywood's expectations. On one occasion, she was instructed to lose weight rapidly before filming, causing her significant health issues. "It was never about my talent," she once lamented. "They only cared about how I looked." The constant scrutiny took an emotional toll, leading Darnell to struggle with self-worth. She turned to alcohol to cope with the toxic environment, a decision that further complicated her career. Despite her personal battles, Darnell managed to deliver stellar performances in films like A Letter to Three Wives. Tragically, Darnell died in 1965 in a house fire. She had returned to her hometown seeking solace from Hollywood's pressures. Friends reported that she often reflected on how the industry's exploitation had shaped her life. Darnell's story exemplifies the high cost of stardom during Hollywood's golden age. Peg Entwistle. Her brief Hollywood career in the early 1930s ended in tragedy. Known as the Hollywood sign girl, she came to Los Angeles with dreams of stardom, but quickly encountered the industry's darker side. Entwistle reportedly faced harassment from producers during casting meetings, many of whom suggested that her success would depend on her willingness to play along. When these advances were rebuffed, Entwistle found herself struggling to land significant roles. Disillusioned and unable to navigate the exploitative system, Entwistle tragically ended her life in 1932 by jumping from the H of the Hollywood sign. Her death highlighted the toxic culture of rejection and exploitation that often consumed young actresses in the golden age of Hollywood. Lana Turner. Lana Turner's journey from a small-town teenager discovered at a soda fountain to one of Hollywood's most glamorous stars was filled with both triumphs and trauma. Known as the sweater girl for her figure-hugging attire, Turner quickly became a sex symbol in the 1940s. However, her rise to stardom came with exploitation and personal turmoil that would haunt her throughout her life. Turner's stardom made her a target for Hollywood's predatory culture. Studio executives frequently pushed her into highly sexualized roles, marketing her beauty as her primary asset. Turner later admitted that she often felt objectified, describing how male producers would discuss her body and appearance in meetings as if she wasn't present. Despite her discomfort, Turner rarely spoke out, fearing it could jeopardize her career. One of the most tumultuous chapters in Turner's life revolved around her relationship with Johnny Stompanato, a mobster with ties to organized crime. Stompanato was controlling and abusive, often threatening Turner when she considered leaving him. The relationship culminated in a dramatic and tragic event in 1958. During a violent altercation between Turner and Stompanato, Turner's teenage daughter Cheryl Crane intervened, fatally stabbing Stompanato in an act of self-defense. The subsequent trial captured national attention, exposing Turner's private struggles and the dangers she faced behind the scenes. In interviews later in life, Turner spoke candidly about the pressures of being a Hollywood star. She described the casting couch. Sybil Shepard. Sybil Shepard, known for her iconic roles in The Last Picture Show and Moonlighting, has been vocal about her experiences with the casting couch culture. In interviews, Shepard recounted a disturbing encounter with CBS executive Les Moonves. She revealed that during a dinner meeting, Moonves propositioned her, implying that her career opportunities on the network depended on her compliance. Shepard refused his advances, a decision she said led to her sitcom, Sybil, being abruptly canceled despite its success. Shepard later reflected on the incident, saying, "I knew standing up to him might cost me, but I wasn't going to compromise my integrity." Her courage in speaking out years later contributed to the broader conversation about power dynamics and exploitation in Hollywood. Today, Shepard remains an outspoken advocate for change, using her platform to shed light on the darker realities of the industry. Gan Harlo. Considered as the original blonde bombshell, Gan Harlo dazzled audiences in the 1930s with her beauty and comedic timing. Her rise to stardom was meteoric, but behind the glamour was a life fraught with control, manipulation, and personal tragedy. Harlo's struggles began with her personal relationships. Her first husband, Charles McGrew, encouraged her to quit acting, viewing her ambitions as a threat to their marriage. Determined to succeed, Harlo continued her career, which led to a second marriage with MGM producer Paul Byrne. Byrne exerted significant control over Harlo's career, dictating her roles and public persona. Their relationship ended abruptly in 1932, when Byrne was found dead in their home. Officially ruled a suicide, rumors swirled about his involvement with Harlo and the pressures he placed on her. Professionally, Harlo faced exploitation from studio executives who prioritized her image over her well-being. MGM pushed her into highly sexualized roles, using revealing costumes and provocative marketing campaigns to promote her films. Harlo later confided to friends that she felt like a product rather than an artist, a sentiment echoed in her reserved demeanor off-camera. One of Harlo's most challenging periods came during the production of Red Dust. Executives demanded that she perform in scenes wearing a skimpy outfit despite her protests. She once told a colleague, "They want me to be everyone's fantasy, but no one cares how I feel." Harlo's life was cut tragically short at age 26 when she succumbed to kidney failure in 1937. Her death highlighted the relentless toll Hollywood's demands took on its stars. In private letters discovered after her death, Harlo expressed a longing for a simpler life, free from the pressures of fame. Rita Hayworth. Hollywood's love goddess, Rita rose to international fame in the 1940s, captivating audiences with her beauty and talent. But behind her stunning smile was a woman trapped in a cycle of exploitation and control, both by her family and industry. Hayworth's father, Eduardo Cancino, was a Spanish dancer who groomed her for show business from an early age. She later revealed that her father's training methods were harsh, with grueling schedules and little regard for her childhood. Worse, Hayworth hinted at inappropriate behavior, though she never publicly elaborated. Once she entered Hollywood, Hayworth fell under the control of Columbia Pictures head Harry Cohn. Cohn micromanaged every aspect of her career, including her relationships and public image. He demanded that she undergo physical transformations, such as dyeing her naturally dark hair red and undergoing electrolysis to alter her hairline. Hayworth later described feeling disconnected from her own identity, saying, "I was a puppet they pulled the strings on." Cohn's control extended to her personal life. He reportedly made advances toward her and tried to interfere in her relationships. Hayworth's marriage to Prince Ali Khan in 1949 provided temporary relief, but she returned to Hollywood only to find herself once again under Cohn's thumb. In her later years, Hayworth reflected on the price of her fame. Her iconic role in Gilda, 1946, where she performed the seductive glove removal scene, became a defining moment in her career. Yet she resented the persona it created, famously saying, "Men fell in love with Gilda, but they woke up with me." Hayworth's struggles with control and objectification left lasting scars. In her later years, she suffered from Alzheimer's disease, which went undiagnosed for years, adding to her isolation. Her legacy as a talented actress is inseparable from the sacrifices she endured. Hollywood's golden age dazzled audiences with glamour and talent. But behind the scenes, many actresses faced a chilling reality: the casting couch. This term, synonymous with coercion and exploitation, defined the darker side of an industry ruled by powerful men. Icons like Marilyn Monroe, Judy Garland, and Rita Hayworth endured relentless harassment, while others like Shepard and Joan Collins bravely spoke out against it. From ruined careers to personal tragedies, their stories highlight the grim sacrifices women made to survive in Hollywood. Today we uncover the unspoken truths of casting couch scandals that shaped and scarred Tinseltown's most celebrated stars.